Hey, welcome to this podcast, this webcast, whatever it's called, live stream. Jonathan Foust here. I'm so grateful that you're here for this talk. Let me just jump into the quick acknowledgments and we'll get right into it. First of all, thank you for being here. Thank you to the Insight Meditation Community of Washington for hosting this, to our producer, Glenn Harrison, for making this possible. A big thank you to Rita Moran, our mindful movement leader, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can join Rita. That'll bring you right up to here, 7:30. More on her offering on my website and Facebook page. I've got a newsletter, a weekly that tells you what's coming up, and a couple times a year I send out all my best photography and kind of a encapsulating all my talks. So that's that. And let's see. This is all offered freely in the spirit of generosity. No excess fee, no nothing. I've received so much through these practices. It's my joy to be able to offer them freely. If by any chance you feel inspired to support this, thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's jump right in. I was leading a week-long retreat a couple of weeks ago, and we were recording all the talks, and I was very excited to share the talks and with you, and the recordings were terrible. So I'm having to re-record everything and ask the other presenters to re-record theirs as well. Last week, if you're tracking, we did have one. Our first talk was by Lynn Dale on taking refuge in the body. This is the second talk, which I'm kind of re-recording, which is a continuation of our week-long retreat. So imagine it's day two. You've been in silence. You've been doing walking meditation, seated meditation, avoiding eye contact, practicing deeply. So this is the evening of the second full day of a meditation retreat. I've had the great pleasure of leading lots of retreats. And a number of years ago, a practitioner told me how the first morning of the retreat, before the day started, he was walking the grounds, was overcome with a sense of gratitude and joy, a sense of the mystery of life, the opportunity to be in community and practicing so deeply and so intensely. He was so grateful to have a whole week of silence ahead of him, time to set aside all his concerns for the world and just address whatever would organically arise. He went to the first meditation, and halfway through the first 45 minutes sit, he had a very clear and urgent thought. I have made a terrible mistake. Maybe you've had that experience in meditation. Why am I doing this? What have I signed up for? And if you're on a retreat, there's often a question of like, why did I sign up for club meditation when I could have signed up for club med? I have set a number of retreats over the years, and one of them was with the teacher S.N. Goenka. And every night he would announce, he'd say, "You have completed the second day of the retreat. You have 5 days remaining." And he'd always tell you how many days remaining. Became a barometer because sometimes it'd be like, "Oh my God, 5 days remaining, I'll never make it." Or if you're in a bliss state, it's like, "Oh my God, only 5 days left to enjoy this time of retreat." I would imagine in your life, if you think about today, maybe you've struggled today. Maybe you've had some insights today. Maybe you've had some surprises today. When you engage into meditation, or if you engage into anything, as Joseph Goldstein says, the outcome is only going to be one of three things. You'll feel better, you'll feel worse, or you'll feel the same. Some kind of relief in that there are only three potential options. But if you meditate, you're going to find that rotating really, really fast. I feel better, I feel worse, I feel the same. And if when you're really paying attention, you see how quickly your experience changes from pleasant to unpleasant to neutral. When you sit a retreat, it will expose the 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows of life. And in my experience, a retreat will sometimes open up dramatically new possibilities as to how you relate to your world. So I'd like to explore this talk, which is a continuation of Lynn's talk from last week, about some of the foundational elements of embodied practice. In particular, exploring the most important tool you have available to you for exploring the nature of reality, which is your body. I'd like to explore how your body can be an ally in your meditation practice, a doorway, if you will, to freedom. As you embrace the here and now in your body, in the senses, and as you rest more and more in this sense of embodied presence, you may notice a rising of the second thing I'd like to talk about, the awakening of the observer, the arising of mindfulness, of non-judging awareness. And what arises out of resting awareness in the senses and this arising of non-judging awareness? Well, it's the art of investigation, where you can choose to look closer at the phenomena of your inner experience. Finally, I'd like to talk about how embracing mindfulness of your body can open up insights and lead to freedom, lead to true happiness. And along the way, there are some particular strategies I'd love to share with you when you're working with difficulty. So, as this is a talk on embodied awareness, I'd like to invite you to check in right now. Zen Pop quiz, you can close your eyes. How are you feeling inside? Right now, what feels pleasant? What feels unpleasant? What feels in between pleasant and unpleasant? Is there anything your body needs right now other than maybe some chocolate? Throughout this talk, I'll be offering a number of techniques and inquiries, so we'll keep checking in. Our, our intention in practice is to be present, to be in the present moment, and to notice what's happening in the present moment. The analogy is like a glass of muddy water. If you just set it on the countertop, sediment will begin to settle and there'll be more clarity. And the interesting thing here is that insight, like seeing more clearly into your relationship to suffering and your relationship to freedom, it's not from better stories. It comes from intimate contact with your experience. In the Satipatthana Sutta, there's a line that says, just as you might look at the body from head to toe, so you look at your experience moment to moment. So, your experience moment to moment. There's an old man on his deathbed. His wife is by his side, and he knows the end is coming. And he says, I just want you to know I'm realizing right now that you were always there. That time when I fell off the roof and broke my leg, you were there. When I lost my business, you were there. When my health started to fail, you were there. And I'm just now realizing you're bad luck. On a retreat, I was doing an interview with a young man, and he'd been ruminating intensively, really obsessing on the retreat about his struggles with intimacy and relationships. He never had a relationship where he really was thriving. And after he chewed on every failed relationship after failed relationship. In an interview, he told me, he said, I started to look at why. What's the one constant through all this drama in my life? And then it hit me. He said, me. I was the one constant through all the drama. So when things go wrong, who's always there? You are. When things are flowing and you're feeling blissful, who's there? You. So you, whatever and whoever you are, you're always there. And but who and what you are, that's another exploration. We'll explore that later. Like, what is this self we're talking about here? But more importantly, for this conversation, what's always there is your body. And your body, your portable flesh unit, because it only lives in the here and now, can be an amazing instrument and resource for you when you practice present moment awareness. So if you would, you don't have to, but if you would, you could close your eyes and just turn your attention, if you would, to be aware of the outer world, sounds around you, the sense of the light beyond your closed eyes, the temperature of the air against your skin. Can you feel the touch points between your clothing and your skin? Can you identify any smells from outside your body? This is awareness of the outer world, extrinsic awareness. And now you might turn your attention to what we could call intrinsic awareness. What do you feel inside? Where do you feel the breath the most predominant inside right now? If you open your awareness to the whole realm of feeling, how much can you experience in the realm of tingling or vibration, of warmth, pleasant or unpleasant? And now for the next three breaths, how intimately can you feel the breath inside? Can you sense or imagine the breath outside your body? And can you feel how your breath is moving from the outer world to the inner world? Now exploring these questions, if you like. What could soften inside right now? What could relax inside right now? And as you sense the outer world and the inner world, can you sense of just for a moment what it's like to receive the moment directly through the senses? If you like, you can deepen your breath and open your eyes, or you can remain with your eyes closed. This inquiry around receiving the moment directly through the senses is a powerful practice because you're not trying to make anything happen. You're receiving the moment as it's happening. It's so utterly simple and so challenging. This mindfulness of the body can reveal so much. I always like to acknowledge Jerry Seinfeld. He said he once tried scuba diving, but he said, I'm not sure I want to do a sport where I'm constantly thinking, don't die, don't die, don't die. Those practices do bring you more present. I love kayaking in the winter and open water, swimming and rock climbing. It calls you into the present moment in a very powerful way. And actually, part of our consciousness is constantly scanning for danger. It's scanning for stuff that can kill us. And putting yourself into those situations can be very absorbing because of the level of danger. So we're scanning for danger, but we're also scanning for what's true. The classic words from the Buddha, where he said, I tell you, my friend, it is not possible by traveling to know or see or reach afar into the cosmos where one does not take birth, age, die, pass away, or reappear. Wherever you go, there's birth, aging, death, passing away, and reappearing. He goes on to say, yet is just within this body, with his perception and intellect, that I declare there is the cosmos, the origination of the universe, the cessation of the universe, and the path of practice leading to the cessation of the universe. You may have heard that statement before. I've certainly heard it and shared it many times. But when I really reflect on that, with awareness within your body, you'll find the origination of the universe, the sensation of the universe, and the path leading to the cessation of the universe, the path to liberation, to ultimate freedom. Translation, what you're looking for is not out there. It's in here. Or as another great teacher said, all you seek is found within. So how can this be so? By being aware, experiencing the here and now through the body, through the senses, is it possible that you can find inner freedom? To do that, we have to befriend this portable flesh unit. One of my favorite readings by Robert Hall called Within the Body You Are Wearing. Feel like you can close your eyes. It's pretty short. Within the body you are wearing, now inside the bones and beating in the heart, lives the one you've been searching for so long. But you must stop running away and shake hands. The meeting doesn't happen without your presence, your participation. The same one waiting for you there is moving in the trees, glistening on the water, growing in the grasses and lurking in the shadows you create. You have nowhere to go. The marriage happened long ago. Behold your mate. This is what you're working with, befriending your body as a spiritual practice. For so many of us, We hold our body in some form of mild to moderate to extreme contempt. So much of this practice is about befriending your body. It's about spiritual reparenting. It's about patience. It's about attending to the child who was never seen or heard or listened to. We override our body all the time. When you're working out and you pull a muscle, chances are good you lost connection with the body and your mind overrode what your body needed. I'm nursing an elbow injury, which was completely from forcing my body to do something it didn't want to do, and I missed the message. So, how do we be aware? How do we be more aware of the body? It's interesting what I find. Lots of techniques, of course, lots of techniques. When you become aware of where you hold tension, that can become a very interesting place to hold your, just to bring your awareness. If you like, you can close your eyes. Here's where people tend to hold tension, and let's see if it's true for you. If you close your eyes, bring your attention to your forehead and just imagine your forehead smooth. And notice if that doesn't begin to soften not only the forehead, but you may notice a sense of relaxation spreading around the eyes. This, this tension of looking out, straining to look out. If you bring the tip of your tongue behind your upper teeth to the hard palate, does it help you to relax your jaw? If you open your jaw and move your jaw from side to side, do you notice any tension here just from the accumulation of stress through the day? If you relax your tongue so fully that your tongue fills your lower jaw, what do you feel and what do you notice? If you explore what it's like to relax the root of your tongue down into your throat, what's that like inside? If you bring your awareness about 2 inches below your navel and in toward the center, and you simply focus on how intimately you can feel the breath right at that spot. And if for the next 3 exhalations, you explore how much you can soften and feel, what do you notice? What do you feel inside? If you feel the volume of your hands, let your awareness just flood into your palms and fingers and thumbs. And if you attune here to relaxation and feeling, what do you notice and what do you feel? Perhaps some tingling or vibration or maybe a pulse. And if you bring your attention now to the soles of the feet and the heels and simply hold your attention here, what do you feel and what do you notice? One helpful technique that I have found is to actually rotate my awareness between different touch points inside. Forehead, smooth, the inside of the mouth and the tongue, the belly, the hands, the soles of the feet. And then one more round, the forehead, just feeling what's there. The inside of the mouth and the tongue, and the belly, the palms, the soles of the feet. Take a moment simply to feel the imprint of moving from touch point to sense what's there. You may feel a calming, a quieting. If you like, you might deepen the breath and let your eyes open or remain with them closed. Another helpful element in your practice, particularly when you're on retreat, is to slow down. You'll notice the more you slow down, the more you'll notice. And it can be very interesting just to choose a speed for some period of time when you're transitioning. Just from going from your seat to the bathroom, just decide, okay, I'm going 75% of my normal speed. Notice what happens. The slower you go, the more you'll notice, the more you'll feel. Which reminds me of a story from a month-long retreat. There was one retreatant in particular who decided to go ultra slow all the time. So he would do walking meditation, barely able to perceive that he was moving. He'd walk down to lunch, take him an hour to get to lunch. You'd see him reaching for the door handle and turning the door handle and moving through. Drove me crazy, just judging him up and down. And then I tried it, and it was so powerful to consciously slow down and notice what happens when you slow down. But later, this yogi he just really opened my heart when he was doing walking meditation, and he was just going so slow and feeling the micro movements of his body moving through space and aware of the temperature and the light and the sun and the whole thing. And he was so deeply absorbed. And then he had this thought, I must look so cool right now. The mind is always commenting. So scanning through the body touch points can be very helpful. Slowing down. Wow, so powerful. Another element that I find very helpful on retreat is to select some phrases, or one phrase that I most want to remember. And for 1 month long retreat, the phrase was relax and feel. So wherever I was, wherever I know, whenever I thought, it was like, oh yeah, right now, relax and feel. It was a way of just coming back 1,000 times to the present moment, relaxing into the senses, feeling into the senses. That's the practice. Having that mantra was very helpful for me. So the practice is very much around meditating with the body. When you're meditating with the body as a cooperative element in your meditation, it starts to reveal the power of vipassana. Vipassana means to see clearly into the nature of reality. It arises out of that relaxed presence. Your capacity for clarity and non-judging awareness starts to come alive. The two wings of the practice start to come alive. First being wisdom, seeing what's really here, not your story, your preference, your embellishments, but what's actually here. And the second wing is your capacity to call on loving presence, to explore how to be with what's here, to have tea with whatever arises. So your body's with you all the time, no matter where your mind wanders off to. You got your body and you've got your mind. Now, the mind is an interesting thing. There are layers of mind. Sometimes it's referred to as ego. And it's an interesting thing. What is ego? And when we're in the context of meditation, this quote from Carl Jung, really helpful. Here's what Carl Jung says. It narrates your story. It carries your name, your achievements, and your pain. We call it the self, the ego. But what is it really? And is it a friend or your most cunning enemy? The ego is not a thing you have. It's a process, a brilliant, desperate act of construction by your brain. Its primary job is not to find truth, but to protect a story. The story of a separate, continuous, and significant you. It is the ultimate meaning maker. It takes the chaos of experience and weaves it into a coherent narrative. That's just one of the most powerful quotes I've run across to really define what is this conditioned self. It's not a thing you have, it's a process, a brilliant, desperate act of construction by your brain. It's not about finding the truth, but just protecting a story of a separate, continuous, and significant you. That's what we're working with. So you've got the body, you've got the mind, you've got the ego, and you've got awareness. So what is awareness? Can awareness be aware of the ego? Absolutely. As Michael Singer famously said, you are not the voices in your head. You are the one listening. So, what is it that's aware? Rarely do we have moments when we are kind of aware of awareness itself. I was on a retreat once, and I had this sense of something that was aware of my thoughts. And there was the classic instruction, be aware of the breath, come back to the breath. And I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, bring what to the breath? Am I bringing awareness to the breath? But I can actually bring awareness to the space inside my right thumb right now. I can extend awareness out beyond the furthest stars. I can bring awareness to my breath and simultaneously to the sounds around me. In that moment, I'm not communicating it well necessarily, but there is this thrill, this sense of how awareness itself, awareness can go anywhere, from the space inside my thumb to the space out beyond the furthest stars. And the doorway to being aware of this immeasurable quality of awareness seems to be deep relaxation. And then one pointed attention, and then to widen out into this field of awareness itself. The classic, the classic teaching of deeply relaxed and at the same time alert just came to mind. If I'm deeply relaxed at the same time alert, this beautiful glimpse of here and now in infinite space. I hung out in that beautiful vibe for a while, and then this feeling of sadness arose. What have I been missing? I've been going so fast. I've been chasing rainbows in my meditations for all these years. And then I realized I could hold this sadness in awareness. Just hold that feeling of sadness and the sense of the space beyond the furthest stars. And I kind of watched it kind of flower and then dissipate. It was a very powerful glimpse. And I say glimpse because moments later I was embroiled in some very important drama that was utterly critical in the moment. And 3 minutes after the meditation, I couldn't remember what that issue was. Maybe you've noticed this in your meditation, how you can be so tied up in a knot, some Gordian knot in your meditation practice. And then after the meditation, have like no recollection of what that was. Here's what Jack Kornfield says about spaciousness. He says, your spacious mind is the natural awareness that knows and accommodates everything. My meditation teacher in the forests of Thailand, Ajahn Chah, called it the one who knows. He said, this is the original nature of mind, the silent witness, spacious consciousness. His instructions were simple. Become the witness to it all, the person with perspective, the one who knows. Sometimes he would say, if you are lost in the forest, that is not really being lost. You are really lost if you forget who you are. So there are different ways to describe this. The one who knows, that kind of implies there's a personality in there that's watching. The witness, the observer, non-judging awareness, mindfulness. It's that which is aware of change. So if you would, little Zen pop quiz. You can close your eyes and take 3 breaths. What is aware of what's changing right now? Can you imagine a quality of awareness that is intimately present, but at the same time without any preferences whatsoever? Can you imagine the awareness that can feel the space inside your right thumb right now? Can you sense the awareness that can be aware of the space between your thumb and your right forefinger? And if you imagine the space outside your body right now, to the front, to the back, to each side, above and below, that space that radiates out beyond the furthest stars, Can you imagine the space that inhabits, or the awareness that inhabits that space? Can you imagine a quality of awareness that is deeply relaxed, but at the same time alert, that requires no effort? Can you imagine this quality of spacious awareness that sees everything as it is, but at the same time with a quality of curiosity and maybe even kindness? You might gently deepen your breath. You might let your eyes open if you like. So you have this body, you have the mind or the ego, the story making machine, and then you have awareness. In this dance of awareness in the body, it's very interesting to note how the mind tends to override the signals from your body. And you know this, the time when your body is telling you it's good time to go to sleep and you override it. You're working at your computer, your body says, I need to pee, and you override it until you can't ignore it. Times when your body says, I'm full, and you override it and keep eating. One of my teachers spoke how in this balance of energy and awareness, for the average person, the only time when the mind is not dominating the body is when you fall asleep. Of course, when you fall asleep, then your body restores, your body heals. In deep sleep, the cerebral spinal fluid can flush out the toxins in the brain. Deep, deep balancing happens when the body dominates awareness. But in your practice, if you're really paying attention to the body, you can change that equation consciously to allow the body to lead. To listen deeply to the body is the practice, allowing the mind or the ego to take a back seat, if you will. When we do, there are sometimes these moments of great expansion, these glimpses of immeasurable states of compassion or immeasurable states of presence. But the thing is, though, you can't make them happen. And that becomes very clear in your meditation practice. You cannot manufacture those experiences, but you can create the most optimal field for those moments to arise. When you consciously relax and feel, you start to turn awareness within. The more you relax, the more you feel. The more you feel, the more you notice. The more you feel, you become aware of the feeling tone of the body, referred to as Vedana in the tradition of insight meditation. The feeling tone, how there's this constant closing down, opening up, or a neutral quality. There's either a negative valence or a positive valence or a neutral valence. And arising out of that feeling tone will come the thoughts and the beliefs and the stories and the habits and the character structure all comes out of that feeling tone in the moment. When you relax and pay attention, you begin to feel what wasn't felt. You begin to see what hasn't been seen. There's the opportunity to digest what has not yet been digested. This is the power of practice. I've had the good fortune to live in an ashram for a pretty good chunk of my life. And different teachers would come and go. It's not cool to do accents anymore. which really bums me out because they do some really good accents. But one teacher would talk about, he would call it the body mind, which is one word, the body and mind. And he would talk about how the body and mind, the body mind does not exist separately. The body and mind are a matrix. Whatever exists in the mind exists in the body. And could that be true? That every thought, every belief, every emotion that you experience in the mind has a corresponding resonance inside. The more you relax, the more you feel, the more you sense that feeling tone, the more you begin to recognize this profound relationship. That insight can be a very good thing and a very challenging and disorienting thing. The more you become the observer, the one who knows, the more you begin to recognize this relationship. This is where investigation begins to arise in your meditation practice. A good friend of mine referred someone to me to work with. I came to the house. I liked him immediately. He was the CEO of a really, really big, complex organization. And he was reminded me of what I imagined. I didn't ask him, but I assumed he had been an Eagle Scout. Just the kind of guy who was like ultra responsible, very aware, um, just a really, really wonderful guy. But he had this back pain that didn't go away, just would not go away. Worked with all different kinds of people. So we explored the body mind. When I invited him to bring his awareness to the feeling, to the sensation of that back pain, we simply spent some time with it. And I asked him its location, its color, its size, and we spent a fair bit of time as he was describing what it felt like. It felt like this, hard, dark space inside with radiating red waves, and as he sat with it, we kind of explored just seeing it, recognizing it. There were times when it felt very, very strong and painful. I would ask him, "Is it okay to allow it? Just is it okay to be with it, to stay with it?" And he'd say, "Yeah, I can be with it a little bit longer." So we would return to the investigation, the texture, the intensity, kind of the boundary of it. I asked him, "Does this like dark, hard place that's radiating this red light, does it have an emotion?" He turned his attention to it and he said, This is anger." And so quite often the mind will interpret something from the body, but it might not be the right words. So I said, let's verify this. When you check back in with this felt sense of this dark space with radiating red light, is that the right word? And he closed his eyes for a long time. Then he opened his eyes. He said, "This is shame." And then he started to cry. Just the spontaneous tears came up. And then a whole story kind of was revealed around his upbringing and how much he pushed himself to do the right thing. But underlying it was this really profound sense of not enough, this profound sense of shame. And we just sat with holding this in loving kindness. And he felt a very dramatic shift, and his whole countenance changed. And I share this story because it's a reflection of investigation and meditation practice. You're probably familiar with the RAIN practice, RAIN. First, to recognize, to name what's dominant without abstraction, just what it is. So for him, it was this pain. The A is to allow, to let the sensations be exactly as they are. And if that feels safe, it's important to ask if it feels okay, because sometimes it isn't, it's too much. then to investigate the texture, the movement, the intensity. And when you have a sense of it, and then to nurture it, to offer it loving presence, it becomes such a powerful practice. Recognize what's here, sense if you can allow it, if you can make room for it, to be more intimate with it, to investigate it. And whatever you find, to hold it in kindness. The precursor to this practice, of course, is to be relaxed, to be present, to have access to awareness itself. But if you like, you can close your eyes. And we'll just explore these steps, not investigating anything in particular, but let me just ask you right now, what is present right here? Can you find a name for your experience right now? And does that name resonate? Is that what's truly what's here? And can you allow this moment just as it is without changing anything? And if you can, is it possible to shift into a more intimate investigation? This moment, what's the feeling tone? What's the texture or intensity right now? And in this moment, can you hold it with some kind of loving awareness, some empathy or kindness or compassion? You might deepen the breath. You might gently open the eyes. These are the keys to moving more intimately into what's present. It's the difference between allowing pain instead of trying to fix it. You can begin to see how experiences arise and pass, and your experience is one thing, your relationship to it is another, and this helps to reveal all of that. But here's the thing, seeing clearly helps to end suffering or stress. When you have a clear insight, it doesn't resolve as much as it reveals what's there. The rain meditation, that's something you do, is how awareness meets your experience. And you don't have to do it when you're working on something difficult. It can simply be these questions. What is my experience right now? Can I be with it? How intimately can I feel this moment? Can I hold this moment in empathy or compassion or kindness? So if you like, you can open your eyes, and I'd like to explore kind of the final exploration here in this talk. It has to do with the body and liberation. Do you know what it's like when you look in the mirror and you're stunned by how good looking you are? I'm asking because I don't know what that's like. I caught sight of myself in a plate glass mirror a little while and I thought, oh my God, is that what I look like now? Oh, like me, you might find yourself caught with some kind of negative bias when you view your body. And it's about overcoming this, making friends with our body can be an instrumental part of any meditation retreat and any moment in your life. Different traditions have different ways of working with the body. Some traditions really see that the body is just this bundle of animalistic energies that need to be tamed. This is the practice of denial, of willpower, of mind over matter. And there's some juice down that tunnel. I had a celibacy vow for more years than I wanted to in my 20s and 30s with a very deep biological innate desire for expression. Working on that, working with that was incredibly revealing. Oh my God, I got so much out of that practice. I'm so grateful for it, truly. And delighted those practices are over. Some traditions will have you meditate on the body in different days, different stages of decay. It's not so much about creating revulsion for the body, but just getting distance from sensuality. Some traditions dive right into sexuality and sensuality to kind of burn through it to help you realize that it's not liberating. And we all have some innate sense of wanting to tame the body. If you ever thought to yourself, I just got to whip myself into shape. That's a pretty revealing statement. So the suggestion is to explore what it's like to meditate with the body, in cooperation with your body, listening to your body with deep care, which brings up a classic question that comes up in meditation. Is it legal to scratch your nose when it itches in meditation? Some traditions will say no, not legal. The aditan meditation, or the sitting of strong determination, is a very clear intention not to move an unnecessary muscle. And I've done this practice, and I'd say 20% of the time, it is extraordinary. You realize that there's an intentionality behind the random movements of the body that brings you in a very, very deep sense of absorption. A lot of times it's very, very painful because you kind of see the discomfort, you see the desire to move, and it builds up more and more tension. But you can also see how, let's say, your knee is hurting and you sit with it, and then you notice after a while the pain goes away. But here's the answer to whether it's legal to scratch your nose or not. What you can do is explore that sense of Vedana I was talking about earlier, unpleasant, pleasant, neutral. Your nose is itching, a high level of unpleasant sensation, a negative valence fills your body. Sit with it for a while, watch it. Then you can explore what it's like to choose to move. Then you can bring your hand very mindfully, feel your hand moving through space, and then scratch the nose, and then watch how Vedana, the feeling tone, will change. It might move into pleasant, like just incredible pleasant, exploding through your whole system. Or maybe you just go back to neutral and then bring your hand back down again. And you might watch the pleasant will shift back to neutral, and then maybe unpleasant will arise somewhere else. You can make anything part of your meditation practice. Wherever you find yourself, come back to the felt sense of here and now. That's the practice. And you'll notice how there are moments when you realize you're straining, that you're trying too hard. You'll notice if you're slacking off. And you can explore the two elemental questions. What exactly is happening right now? Name your experience. And the second question, can I be with this? Can I let this moment be? Quite often, pain will arise on a retreat. I've explored every strategy possible. I have a lot of German genes. And there's part of me that will inevitably think, I will accept this moment. And once I realize where the pain is, I will nuke it. We get grim around pain. We get avoidant around pain. The question becomes, what is happening? Can I be with it? And when you really listen to that question, can I be with it? When it's too much, you make a very clear decision to shift your attention, shift your body. In one of the groups, someone was talking about how they were in tremendous pain in a particular part of the body. Then they asked themselves, well, where don't I feel it? And they shifted their attention to their palms. And when they kept their attention in the palms, they began to realize, I can bear this pain. And over time, the discomfort just began to bleed and shift. The whole key here is to listen deeply to your body. It is trying to communicate with you all the time. What we're doing here is we are elevating the body as a tool, as an ally in our practice. One of my favorite readings from John O'Donohue. If you like, you can close your eyes for a moment. It's called A Blessing for the Senses. May your body be blessed. May you realize that your body is a faithful and beautiful friend of your soul. And may you be peaceful and joyful and recognize that your senses are sacred thresholds. May you realize that holiness is mindful gazing, feeling, hearing, and touching. May your senses gather you and bring you home. May your senses always enable you to celebrate the universe and the mystery and possibilities in your presence here. May the arrows of the earth bless you. Insight unfolds through the sense of embodied curiosity. Let your investigation be gentle and intimate and immediate. And in your practice, as best you can, return again and again to this direct sensing of here and now. To trust your body as a teacher. When you experience difficulty, as best you can, take a moment to pause, to feel. Bring your awareness to just one sensation and notice what changes without effort. The invitation here is not to figure out what's going on, but to feel your way through it. And what becomes possible when nothing needs to be fixed, only to be directly known? Thank you so much for your time, for your attention. May you and your body have a wonderful time together. And may your practices feel enriching and fulfilling.